What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to finally have the discussion about Dewey Riley in Scream 2022. Was killing him off the right move? This has been something that obviously I've been thinking about, and well, it's been something that's just existed out in the wild, right, for a while now. And I thought, okay, enough time has passed. I really don't think nobody actually has given me any trouble with spoilers, and I greatly appreciate you guys for that. So I think now is the time to have this discussion. So, beating around the bush aside, let's jump into it. Was killing him off the right move? I think it is very tough. I will say I feel like I agree in a way with what Richie and Amber were saying at the end of the movie, where obviously very meta in a way where they're saying, people, or they wouldn't perceive it as being something real or something like big unless they killed, one of these OG characters. And you also needed to get Sydney and Gale back. Otherwise it wouldn't feel right and it wouldn't be the real thing. I actually agree to a T with the meta, poking at themselves and also poking at the genre, where you'll like it or hate it. Because I know some people would say maybe just leave these characters alone, or never let them die, or never do this or that. But they are right from the general a mass audience perspective. If you were to leave these characters out, or if you didn't do something bold, we talked about that leading into this movie. We talked about making a bold choice. Okay, now a lot of choices they made in this movie were not bold, but this one, obviously killing Dewey, was a bold decision to do that. So I do agree, because you have to do something to shake it up. You have to do something to make audiences feel like, no, this is a legit real thing. In the way, they could have done something. They really, you bring back the original three, they all make it out alive, which is fine. And I guess in the process, you actually kill off every other young character that you brought in. That was a bad decision. But remember, it was supposed to be a lot different, right? They would have kept Kirby alive if it kept going. The original idea was for Jill to stay alive. So, it wasn't in their plan to bring in a new audience or a new group and then murder all of them, where you're still left with the OGs, even though you're supposed to be trying to start the franchise up again and pass it down to, maybe they would have done that in 5 or 6, right? Actually, they would have, I think, with Kirby, okay? So, I guess on the merit of needing something big to happen, I understand it. Now, I will say that, is that really on its own enough of a reason? I don't know. I actually, because I could see people saying in the comments, and I don't disagree with this, where it's well, just because you feel you need to do something big and bold doesn't mean you have to, and it doesn't mean that that's the right choice, or it doesn't mean that that's going to hit off the way you want it to and please people. One thing I do want to say, by the way, I think a lot of you guys know my content, know my channel by now, but I'm very open to differences of opinion. So I know this is going to be a divisive topic. If that's totally cool. If you don't agree, or if you have something different for me to say, or against the narrative or whatever, you have every right to say it in the comments. I definitely support your right to do that. Because I'm kind of in the middle of it too. I think one thing I do like about Scream 2022 was Dewey. Dewey was a phenomenal, David Arquette did so good. Now, the argument has been made from some people that it wasn't really Dewey. That character wasn't exactly Dewey. I think that is fair to some extent. I do think there were obviously things that he was going through that we've never seen Dewey go through. Now, does that necessarily make it where that can't be in his character? No, but he did there was it was different. It was absolutely different. However, there were times of the actual Dewey, right? When he said, maybe you're the killer because that cut deep, or, when he's just watching Gale on TV, or when he texts her and he sends, the smiley face, and then he says out loud, he's I wonder if I should have, or maybe I shouldn't have sent the smiley face. Those are definitely Dewey things. And also, maybe I'm kind of coming around to this, by the way, also, you have to, I think you have to at least try to evolve these characters in some way. Who wants to see the same? Now, obviously, he's a loved character, and he's loved for a lot of reasons, but you see a character for 25 years. Do you want them to be the exact same character for 25 years? No, not necessarily. You want them to, I guess at the core be that character, but evolve and change a little bit, or I guess adapt in a way. And I think that's what they did with Dewey. So, I've spent a lot of time talking about him and his character, and the reason I am doing that is because this was it with him. This is the final time we see him. Now, I think the argument's being made that killing him was the wrong move, or could have been the wrong move, because of kind of the reception that they themselves, the cast, they gave to that, right? There were talks that they were actually going to film a second, like an alternate take, that they would say that Dewey actually had surgery and he was fine, like he survived, but I don't believe they ended up actually filming that. On their way out of the hospital, there's only one body bag, so there's been that. I mean, Dewey is dead. That's a for sure thing. I mean, there were opportunities if they wanted to back out, But I do think his death definitely had weight. I think his death in itself was actually very, very cool. It was cool to see him fight. It was the whole like, yes, today it's an honor line, I think was absolutely awesome. I liked the double knife kill. I mean, yes, okay, you could argue, would Amber have been able to do that stuff? That aside, I do like the double knife idea, okay? And killing him really So here's what I would say. Dewey was actually, in a weird way, the most important character in the entire film. Because the first half of the film, he was a main character, I would argue, as much as Sam or Tara. Probably Sam was kind of the lead of the first half, right? I would argue Dewey was right there. He was in it a lot. He had a lot of character moments where you kind of got to see what he was going through, and kind of a very quick time for him to do like a character arc, his own character arc in this movie. You had all of that in the first half, okay? He died saving them, right? He saved Tara. Without that, Tara, who I really like as a character, Tara would have definitely been dead. Sam probably, like none of that stuff. I guess that's then the next part, right? Without him doing that, the second half of the movie doesn't happen. Sydney and Gale did come back, but Sydney would not come back, right? I guess the entire just weight of it on these characters for the second half doesn't happen. So I guess I appreciate that, because I know some people I think have compared it to like the Luke thing for Star Wars. I think Star Wars literally just like killed Luke Skywalker's character. Like they did the worst, you know what I mean? Like Mark Hamill definitely did not seem happy, in my opinion, back then. I truly believe they murdered, they massacred, they Ghostface killed Luke Skywalker's character in The Last Jedi, okay? Just my opinion, but that's the case. I don't think at all that that's what they did for Dewey, because I do think they gave him a lot. I don't think his the only thing I guess is like, well, he's gone through so much to then die. That's the thing. He's gonna say like it doesn't take away from his journey, it doesn't take away from anything that he's done, and I think that's largely true. There is a part of me where it's like, well, was it all for nothing though? But at the same time, you also have another well-known fact. Dewey comes close to death in like every single movie. They've played around with this idea forever, so it's not too much of a shock that they could do this. And again, I think that helps not take away the weight of the other stuff that he's done in the previous movies, and making it okay for a character like this to die. It is sad. It hurts to think about Scream without David Arquette, without Dewey. It hurt. Nev Campbell did not like the decision to kill him, right? David Arquette did not like the decision to kill him. They respected it, they go along with it, but they did not like it. I get it. As an actor, for them, you spend so much time with these characters, but also us as an audience, yes, 5 movies, but also 25 years for some people. For me, it's been less, but 25 years for people. We've grown accustomed to like these characters being these characters in these movies. And to think about a Scream 6, although I'm very much for it and I want to see it, but to think about it without Dewey is actually not necessarily terrifying. Maybe in a way it is, but it's just very sad. Where it's like, I can't believe we're gonna do this without him. But but again, like going back to Richie and Amber, like you kinda have to do something. And now again, that goes into the argument of, well, did you have to kill him? Could you have killed somebody else? Could you have done one killer? That would have been a major. It didn't necessarily have to be a death that was a major switch up. It could have been one killer. It could have been 3 killers. It could have been. The Sam thing would have been like Jill in a way. So maybe they didn't want to do that. But there could have been other things that they did. But I really don't think they like destroyed his legacy here. He did act different. I'm not saying he didn't act different. He absolutely did. He was much more of like a drunk. In fact, they even cut out things that they filmed, or he even filmed, of him kind of being really acknowledging his failures and stuff. And it's like, that's just not something Dewey. So like there was things that was a little out of character, like him and Gale. I actually adore that the back and forth, I guess, dialogue between those two. It was phenomenal. Did it really seem like something Dewey would ever say? No, but again, it's been another 10 years. We've seen him for 4 movies. Maybe he would now. Like, maybe he's been, you know what I mean? I feel like it's believable enough where you could imagine that some stuff in his life, and again, like, he still had that goofiness, like, that was definitely still there. It was definitely hidden, but also it's just a man who's kind of done. Like, all 3 of these OGs, they are done, you know what I mean? With, like, the situation with Ghostface. So, I get it. I understand it. So, I know I went back to his character. Was killing him the right decision? I think it was a solid decision. I think it worked. I think it had weight to the movie. I think it made sense. Like, all those things, I say, I guess what I'll add on is, like, is it guaranteed to work in the future? Like, will this turn out to be a mistake? Honestly, will this turn out, maybe not, it's not like Randy in the sense of, because he only had like 1.5 movies and all that stuff, and obviously I think Dewey is just a much bigger character, obviously been in all of them and one of the main 3 characters, but like, I guess in terms of the comparison with Randy of, do you regret it years down the line? I think they regretted killing Randy, right? Long term. They regret it for 3. They regret it for 4. But they've tried to, find replacements and stuff. So in that way, right, killing Randy, I do believe, in terms of their plans going forward, was a mistake. In fact, they've kind of all, fessed up to like, yeah, that was probably not the right move, killing off Randy. Could we see that for Dewey? I do think that's possible. I do. I think in 6, you go through 6 and you say, was something missing here? You know what I mean? Like, could Dewey have made this movie a lot better? And then, you bring him back. Or I'm not saying like you actually like resurrect him from the dead, but like if you had him in 6, obviously you would have to like redo 5 in a way. And it's like, well, would that have been better than the products we got, right? Yes or no? And that's something we'll have to figure out as these movies go on. It may not be that big of a deal going forward because there may not be that many left. The shift has obviously happened away from the OG3. That's another reason why it's different than Randy. You know what I mean? Because right now we're already getting away from Dewey, Gale, Sidney. So like not having Dewey isn't as much of an impact as a Randy-esque character who's like the meta person who knows everything, who's explaining you know what I mean? Like that person can always exist. So definitely want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know. Do you think, killing him off was the right move, wrong move? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to follow me anywhere, I have my Twitter. I have my second YouTube channel. I also have Patreon and YouTube memberships. Links for them all are in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.